So welcome back to both of you. As we were reflecting on the last hour, a lot of the front page is devoted to the Labour Party conference, which gets underway in Liverpool today. Keir Starmer has done a couple of interviews, one of which is featured on the front of the Sunday Times. And the quote that they've pulled out for their headline is, "I think we can pull this around," says Starmer. So an acknowledgement that Labour are not in the position he'd like.
Yeah, and it's staring you in the face, isn't it? I mean, he'd be mad, I suppose, not to admit that things haven't been going great and aren't going great. I mean, having interviewed Keir Starmer myself, it is a challenge to get a news line out of him. So I think Caroline Wheeler at the Sunday Times is to be commended because he's obviously come along with nothing new to say, but this is a decent little throwaway line. I think we can pull this around, an admission that he's really struggling right now, and that's a view shared by an awful lot of Labour MPs. I mean, other stuff that he talks about in it is he wants to reclaim patriotism. You don't see a picture of him now without a flag in the background. Obviously very worried about Nigel Farage, mentions Andy Burnham, and then says that the fight against reform is bigger than the Labour Party. So they're trying to basically, he's mentioned as well about a battle for the soul of the country. They're trying to ramp it up, basically. That's what's at stake. It's not just about the future of Labour, or even the future of him. It's about the future of the country, is how he wants to present it, really almost scare voters into not voting for reform.
Yeah, and he's obviously going to try and lean into some of the recent announcements, the digital IDs announcement on Friday. They're also announcing that they're going to build new towns. They're talking a lot about this sense of regeneration and opportunities for young people with that. But if we turn to the Mirror's double-page spread here, a lot of what he seems to be focused on, Benedict, is on attacking reform.
Yeah, and just as an aside, isn't it amazing that even though you might be able to sort of sit here and say we inherited a dreadful situation from the Conservatives aren't getting a look in, they're not getting a mention, they're not the enemy at all, they're irrelevant. It's all about reform, and I'm sure that that'll be the case at a Tory party conference if anybody turns up. That's all that they'll be talking about as well. And the problem with all of that is reform being an untried, untested entity. That is largely where a lot of their popularity stems from initially. They are the protest votes, they are the none of the above. There is no track record to bash them on, really. So what is it that we're going on? We're going on a few things that we know about Farage. He has a very strong relationship with members of the Trump administration. He quite likes to travel around the world. He quite likes to have a bit of a good time. Trying to then paint it as somebody who you wouldn't trust, maybe being in number 10, all that does, I think, is A, you're talking about him, so he's in your head, great start, and then you're highlighting the fact that you're trying to reduce him down. What are you trying to reduce him down to? Oh, your level, the level of your government, because your government is currently beset by all kinds of problems, and not simply performance-based problems, but ministers having to resign left, right and centre because they haven't behaved in an appropriate manner. I can understand why he's doing it. You need to try and find a way of puncturing the Farage balloon. But it does just come across as desperate, frankly, and not as a front-facing, optimistic government.
Do you think that's right, Kevin? And when you see that headline there in the Sunday Mirror where he's done this other interview, Farage goes to the US to make money and talk down his own country, it's just grubby. Do you think that does jar when he, early on in his premiership, was seen to have taken free clothes and free glasses?
Yeah.
And he talks about making money, but and also the problems with some of his... Lord Mandelson, Angela Rayner having to step aside.
Well, Angela Rayner having to step aside because of, not paying enough tax. Lord Mandelson because of links with a paedophile. If you go way back to when Louise Hay was Transport Secretary over a previous fraud conviction. So a lot of people are thinking, going to say, well, hang on a minute, you can't exactly call reform grubby when your house is very much not in order. So yeah, it does feel a little bit desperate. I think he knows that potentially the writing is on the wall. We've got these local elections coming next May, if he makes it that far.
Do you think there's a possibility he won't make it to next May?
There is a possibility, undoubtedly. It's definitely been discussed. I think he probably still will. Labour, history tells us, are not very good at getting rid of bad leaders. But, I mean, a catastrophic night at the beginning of May could well just prove to be... it becomes unavoidable, really. But this is a kind of last throw of the dice for him, I think, now.
Andy Burnham, obviously, making it... clear to a lot of people, he will deny it, but making it clear that he would like to be in a position potentially to step in, would you say?
It's very tricky, though, because the most high-profile politicians who don't necessarily have a bad reputation aren't MPs. It's Andy Burnham and, to a lesser degree, I think it's probably Sadiq Khan in terms of sort of brand recognition. Looking around beyond that, you are stuck with the same problem that the Tories had, which was, well, what are the options? Who actually can you get who isn't tainted, with this government? Maybe David Lammy. Would that work? I don't know. There are the options are very thin on the ground, and of course, Burnham has, as you suggested, he's fired the starting gun far too early. He's not even an MP. You wait until you at least have the possibility. I do wonder if maybe the fact that he isn't an MP and the fact that he's going in so hard is not necessarily about him at this moment. Maybe it's a slightly longer-term vision when he is an MP, but maybe in the short term it helps somebody else. He has the protection, if you like, because he's not an MP, of being able to take shots at the Prime Minister, and he doesn't take anything, in return. He's not going to be punished by the Prime Minister, because what can Starmer do? That potentially might help somebody else who already is an MP. Who that person might be, I don't know. That might not even be the case, but I think that would make a lot more sense than Burnham going, hello, I'd like to be Prime Minister, and everybody else going, well, that's great. How do you plan on making that happen?
Let's quickly reflect on the Sunday Telegraph front page. Kevin, ministers beg Reeves to unleash spending. I mean, she says, I've got my strict fiscal rules.
Exactly.
I can't budge on them.
Yeah, and this was, we talked about Andy Burnham. Andy Burnham in an interview with the New Statesman talking about, Labour shouldn't be in hock to the bond markets, which is bonkers, like trying to wish away reality. But there's no doubt that I think there's a lot of frustration amongst ministers that Rachel Reeves is so determined to stick to these fiscal rules, low spending cuts, and make the books balance. They say, look, borrow some more money, for goodness sake, let's spend, let's invest, let's not be what the Tories were. But thus far, she's not for turning.
No, she would argue that if I shift on that, then we will pay more for our borrowing.
Well, exactly, which I think she has a point there. That's why they're in such a terrible situation.
I don't know how long we've got left. Someone tell me how long we've got left, because I'm a minute and a half. So let's talk about Guinness, shall we? This is in, remind me which paper it's in.
It's
the Mail.
The Daily Mail. The Mail on Sunday.
In the Mail on
sorry,
Sunday. Yeah. Tell us, Kevin, you spotted this.
Well, it's a real mark of where we've got to as a society, I think, that now, for the first time ever, according to a famous online grocery chain, sales of Guinness to people's houses, 0.0 Guinness, the non-alcohol one, now outstrip alcoholic Guinness for the first time. Or 53% of Guinness sold is the 0.0 kind, which I have to say is quite good. Other stuff, obviously. But yeah, I think it's an indication of where we are as a country now. We're much more relaxed about drinking non-alcoholic beer. You go into the supermarket and you see there's usually quite a wide selection, and it's quite remarkable.
Yeah, that's actually, isn't it? I mean, is it because I don't actually drink beer, so I couldn't comment, but it's got better non-alcoholic beer, or is it because there are people who are stopping drinking?
I think it's a combination of the two. I think once upon a time people simply wouldn't have drunk the volume of non-alcoholic beer that they did because it simply didn't taste particularly nice. That's obviously improved, but it only improves if there's a market for it, or if you're being squeezed, if your alcoholic product is being taxed to the extent that fewer people are drinking it because they can't necessarily afford it in the same volume. So there is, I think, a market opportunity for it. But I do think it's a little bit depressing, frankly, that people are so health conscious that they'll drink 0.0% Guinness. Okay. Come on.
We must leave it there. I think we've probably done enough discussion about beer this early in the morning. But anyway, have a lovely Sunday.
Thank you.
Thanks for your help.
I'm Dominic Waghorn, Sky's International Affairs Editor, covering a world that seems to be unravelling.